folks. Happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. Jason, I just got to say, we are back on planet Earth. We had Will Tanner on last week, folks. You've got to check out the podcast from last Friday. We were in the orbit of Mars. SpaceX was launching us into this realm of intelligent conversation, breaking down tariffs. You got Jason and myself back this week to do a little yelling, get a little catharsis in there. But we're happy you're here today, folks. We got Kagan Girl already in the chat over on Rumble. Good to have you with us today, folks.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, we are streaming on a bunch of platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, and Rumble. My personal favorite over on the Rumble. That's where we're trying to build our community. For those who are new to our podcast, we run for an hour on here. We got a great bunch of folks on all the platforms and like-minded people. The reason we like Rumble, though, is we run an extra half-hour part on the Rumble only because we want to talk about some stuff that some of these platforms are not going to like. Like Todd and I, just for the show, we're going to play an Eric Holder video talking about the current state of things. And we're like, oh, we can't talk about that on Facebook. They'll nuke our page. Oh, YouTube won't like that. They'll demonetize you. It's going to be,
I don't know if you can say the word mustache anymore because we all know what you're talking about when you say the word mustache and man together. So we got to be very careful on these platforms, even though we were promised Zuck donated to the inauguration fund. Zuck's meeting with Donald Trump. Facebook's probably going to censor our show just for calling them out right now. But folks, we have so many clips to get into. Jason and I were talking before the show. It's like, where do we even begin? We could go and make fun of Dems, which we're going to do. We want to celebrate the winning. Jason, I don't know how else to describe this. The first 3 months of Donald Trump's administration, he could have been president for 8 years, and I'd been like, it was pretty good 8 years. Look what he got done. It's only been 3 months, folks. I have to poke myself every day and be like, are we still just in like the early stages of this? There is winning every single day from him.
Oh my gosh, it's funny because I had posted this on my Facebook page. Let me just pull it up. Inflation at a 5-year low, energy prices down 30%, egg prices down 50%, private sector employment surging, border secure, peace with Ukraine, dismantling DEI, tax reform incoming, regulation slashed. And like Todd said, we aren't even on day like 40. Or I mean, we're not even on day 100 yet. I think, what are we at? Like day 60 something? I'd have to look it up.
Not even the end of 3 months. Yeah, that day 100 marker they always have. I mean, we're not even there. Again, this could have been day 100. This could have been 8 years down the road. You would have been saying, I'm so glad I voted for Trump. It hasn't even been 3 months.
Right. And it's so funny because, like, talking about eggs for a sec, a big report came out. Wholesale egg prices are down like 60%. Turns out when you quit killing the chickens and you buy eggs maybe internationally if you need to and facilitate them getting in quick, your prices go down. But then the news media still reports like, oh, those prices haven't come down to consumers because they're still marking them up in the supply chain. So somebody in the free market, one of these stores is going to cut their price to what it should be because they're getting the whole sale price discount, and then it'll all take off. But trying to explain to some people that don't understand basic economic principles is fascinating. Like, dudes, it's been 60 days or 2 months. Yes, the egg prices didn't drop immediately. Yes, they're in the pipeline. Yes, you can see the wholesale prices dropping. Now it's just a matter of getting that over to the consumer. It'll happen. Relax. But it's like these brain dead people that just like think Donald Trump just walks into the White House and waves a wand and like, oh, eggs are cheap now, you know?
Well, and isn't it funny too, where they're complaining, oh, it didn't happen fast enough. You mean he didn't sign a EO and egg prices went down by 50%? Where was this outrage? They're mad that egg prices haven't come down far enough. Where were you for 4 years under Joe Biden when egg prices went through the roof? They didn't say anything. They didn't complain at all. And now Donald Trump can't bring them down fast enough?
Right. Why? And it's kind of like tariffs. Todd, explain to the group. We had super smart guy Will Tanner last week explaining tariffs.
Yeah, let's see what's
explained. I saw you talking about him on your podcast, which, by the way, Tuesday, Thursday, check out the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson.
That is Rumble. We do Rumble Studio. Again, we want to double down our Rumble support. I mean, there's so many different angles to take on this. And I think after this comment, Jason, we're going to play Adam Schiff, because Adam Schiff, within the span of 3 days, went from he needs to pause the tariffs to I can't believe he paused the tariffs. I mean, Democrat narratives are simply insane at this point.
But no, if you had to explain tariffs to the layman, you got like 60 seconds. Like, here's tariffs. Here's why they're important. How would you, like, we did a great episode last week. I'll encourage you to go check it out, but just dumb it down for us, Todd.
Absolutely. So, Jason, let's say that you and I make widgets. You know, economists' favorite term there. We make a widget here, and we're trying to sell that widget over in China, but we have to pay American wages. We have regulations in America. So the cost of producing a widget gets a little higher. Now, if you're over in China, you can take the 10-year-old child, you can pay them maybe $1 a day. Maybe you just say you're going to get a bag of rice at the end of the day. You don't have government regulations, which drive up costs because you have to have a cleaner place, got to dump all your toxic sludge somewhere. So if I'm trying to sell my widget in China's market or any other country's market for that matter, because guess what, folks? They all have tariffs. Their economies have not crashed because of those tariffs. I can't. So I'm making a widget. I can sell it in America maybe. But even then, because we don't have reciprocal tariffs, or we didn't until Donald Trump was coming in office to talk about it, you could either buy an expensive American widget or you could buy a cheap Chinese widget. Folks, if that's the case, you have no widget production in America because I can't sell them overseas and I can't sell them here because they're too expensive.
Now, one would think, as you're explaining this to a liberal, because Democrats, liberals have long tried to frame themselves as we are the party of the working class and, America. But we're better than you morally because we also love the environment. We want 120 weeks paid vacation for everybody, and we want 4-day work weeks and all these. So you'd think if you're a liberal, you would have this mental disconnect between, okay, we want all these things for American companies that are going to make it way more expensive to make the widget. So we would need protections for our widget producers because we're making it more expensive for them to do it. And we showed last week, for years, that was the position of the Democrat Party. But now that America First, Donald Trump, says we want to protect our widget manufacturers, now all of a sudden they're like, no, no, no. You know what we really need to do? We need to bring in Chinese widgets from this place that pollutes and has human rights violations. And I mean, you think these Chinese sweatshops have like 12 weeks maternity leave or, $27 an hour minimum wage? Are you insane? So it's like, are the policies they want us to institute the morally right thing to do? Well, then they should want to ban people making stuff, sending it in that don't follow those policies. Like it should just be like, no, 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 we don't care. We don't want to buy things from. But suddenly all the left is like, bring us our cheap Chinese stuff. I don't care who made it. It blows me away.
Yeah, and go back to last week's episode. We had Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Obama, Hillary Clinton. I saw a clip floating around. They all advocated for the Trump position a decade ago, 20 years ago. They said the exact same thing Trump was saying. The only thing that changed now is Orange Man bad. And again, we've made the point a lot. Democrats have to take the side of evil because they have to oppose Trump. So their positions will always be morally backwards and upside down. Doesn't matter what they said before. But Jason, I'm going to take it a step further. Instead of widgets, now I remember during the onset of the pandemic, I was looking at buying a vehicle, but vehicle manufacturers couldn't get a certain chip for their vehicles because those chips get made overseas. So instead of just widgets and this, nebulous idea of, oh, economies, this and that, there are things getting produced overseas for much cheaper that we as Americans rely on. And as soon as that supply chain gets shut off for whatever reason, if there is a conflict, if there is another global shutdown, we don't have access to things that we need to keep moving forward as a country. That is a big problem. So would we rather rely on China and Taiwan to make chips, all these other fancy things in electronics that your life depends on at this point, your phone, your car, your computer, everything? Or should we make it at home? And in the event something happens around the world, we're secure from that. This isolation idea is not a bad thing. Will broke down, I didn't pick up the book. I forgot about the book already. I think his name was List. How the free market works wonders in a domestic economy. But once you open the free market to the global economy, it kind of falls apart because whoever's paying the least amount to their employees, least amount for resources, suddenly you upend the otherwise free market.
Yeah, and it's funny because even I do some other podcasts during the week when we're trying to explain this, and you're trying to explain this even to some conservatives. Like, I don't know a simple way to break it down. If your answer is we need to buy cheap products from China that uses slave labor, destroys their environment, like, and because even as a conservative, like we think liberals go too far, but we don't want polluted rivers and streams. You know what I mean? Like we don't think the ice caps are melting and we need to stop producing gas and oil. But Like we would like not to have like pollution in the river, like that's a thing. And all these people that are running like, oh my god, I can't believe Donald Trump's doing this with the tariffs. I couldn't be happier with these tariffs. Like, and now we've got a full-blown trade war with communist China, and the left is taking the side of communist China. Make it make sense.
Oh, it is absolutely wild. Yeah, and I made the point, Jason, on the show yesterday too. Yeah, all these people that are concerned about the climate, all the people concerned about fair wages, that argument goes out the window. Goes out the window when they send this overseas to China, India, Mexico, because they don't care what those dudes get paid. They don't care what gets dumped into the environment. It's absolutely insane.
Well, and it's funny, and Todd and I were talking about the show or before the show. This is one of my new rules or how I mentally frame when I talk to a liberal. And I've experienced this by communicating with family. So future son-in-law, potentially baby of the baby daddy from my grandbaby, like he's a liberal. He's crazy. And I realize in talking to him, there are two things. One, liberals think they're smarter than us. They just think like nothing you have to say could be right. They're better educated. They've read more, whatever it is. The second thing is they think they're morally superior to us. So even if they're wrong, they're really right because they're just a better person than you. And it's funny, as I've engaged with different liberals after kind of landing on those two rules, and I look at it from their perspective, I'm like, they think they're talking to somebody that they're smarter than, and they think they're talking to somebody that they're a better person than. So why would they listen to you? And it's kind of changing these last couple weeks, my worldview on some of these like everyday liberals, where it's like they're just awful people. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to bookend our points on this, and we got to get to the clips here, Jason. The other thing that I had mentioned on the podcast, oh shoot, I just had a brain fart here. Oh, Donald Trump's negotiating tactics. This is what got completely missed as well. Fally's over on Facebook still. Fally, we got to fix your Rumble. Donald Trump came in hard with tariffs, and he says, I'm going to get reciprocal tariffs because that's fair. We're not going to be in this one-sided trade war. Trump did not start a trade war. Folks, we're the only country without these tariffs to begin with. But he goes to the table and says, I'm going to levy these tariffs on you so that it levels it out so we can return manufacturing here. Now, if Trump actually wanted tariffs, that's open to debate. But what happened is, as soon as he had the threat of the tariff, that was good enough to bring scores of countries to the table and say, you win. I don't want to deal with these tariffs because then I won't be able to sell my goods in your country anymore. How about we drop our tariffs instead? And so Donald Trump got just as good of his deal. I think he actually wanted this. I'm just going to come in with force, come in with a threat. You're going to drop your tariffs, and we're humming along now. He did the 90-day pause, Jason, so there are no tariffs going into effect other than China. And again, it was the art of the deal. It's not complicated. Anyone that's ever been in a negotiation, you're selling something online, you're like, I want $1,000 for it. In your head, you're going to take 800, but you're going to come in at 1,000. This buyer is going to think they're getting a deal. Okay, you want 800 for that? And you're like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted from the beginning. I just beat you. Like, that's all this was. It was just negotiating masterfully done.
And I wonder if all these people that have a hard time understanding this, if it's really just they've never had to do a deal in their life. They've never had to buy a house. They've never had to negotiate to buy a car. They've never had to do any of that. It's like, I see people online like, oh, these tariffs go to the consumer. Okay, you are simple-minded in how this works. If I'm buying products from China and they're sending it over and I need to pay a tariff, I'm not going to pay that and pass it on to my consumers because then you're not going to buy it. So I'm going to go back to China and I'm going to say, you need to cut your price. So yes, technically I will be paying the tariffs, but that's coming out of my price that China's charging me, the Chinese manufacturer, so that my out the door price can cost relatively the same. This is not a complicated concept here. I remember when I was buying a house, it's like, I need this thing done. And they're like, well, we can't lower the price of the house, but we'll do the thing. And it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah. And honestly, Jason, I hope this is phase one, and phase two is the abolition of the income tax. I would pay more in your scenario. I would be willing to pay more for a good if it was made overseas in exchange for me voluntarily paying that higher price and not having to involuntarily have my wealth confiscated from me by the government. So if the trade-off is you get to keep more money in the terms of not paying income taxes and you're going to pay a little bit more on the price of goods going up because of these tariffs, Sign me up.
Oh my God, taxation is theft. Never forget it. Should we start out? What do we start with? Adam Schiff, like
I want to go
changing his
to
mind
yeah. We'll talk
completely?
about tariffs here again. I set the video up here. Within 3 days, honestly, it could have been within an hour. That's how much these Dems change their minds or want to brainwash you into this new talking point. Pause the tariffs. It's bad. He paused the tariffs. We got Dems. We got to pick a lane. As always, you got to figure out what do you actually stand for. But here is Schiff.
I think people have seen their retirement savings on fire, and there he is out on the golf course. That may end up being the most enduring image of the Trump presidency. That is the president out on a golf cart while people's retirement is in flames. It will be the Trump recession. He will completely own it. This is a completely self-destructive economic act that he's engaged in. Writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in?
Okay. So April 6th, Trump's putting in tariffs. Tariffs are bad. And I love this language. He's lighting retirement accounts on fire. Todd, how much did the market drop?
3,000, couple percentage points.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think overall we're down like 10, 11%. Folks, if you have a retirement fund, I'm 50. This is not the first 10% decline you've seen in your retirement fund. Won't be the last. It's just the current.
Yeah. Well, and interestingly, if Democrats cared about your retirement, they would let you keep more of your money to put in the stock market on your own to get the average 8 to 10% return instead of relying on government Social Security, which gets an annual return. I think I saw a stat of like 3% or whatever, however they measure the growth of Social Security. So you get less money when you have Social Security versus had you privately saved on your own. But sure, I trust Schiff when he's concerned about your retirement all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I ran a calculation because most people don't know you pay 6%, 6.5% in Social Security taxes. Your employer pays 6.5%, so that's 6.5% that should go to you. So 12% of your income gets tied up in Social Security. Oh, by the way, those benefits are getting paid to current recipients, not going in an account. But an average person starting right now making $60,000 a year, who gets just 3% raise over their lifetime, that puts 12% of their money in the stock market. By the time they go to retire, like just with conservative projections, would have like $3.5 million. So you'd be sitting there at 65 years old with $3.5 million and the rest of your life to figure out what you're going to do, plus whatever else you've done to prepare for your retirement. Instead, you're going to give this money to the wasteful, horrible, awful government so that when you get old and you're 65, like, here's $1,500 and some really crappy health care. It's crazy. But back to Schiff. How on earth in 3 days, hey, Donald Trump is doing this thing, it's bad. Donald Trump reverses course, which I think is the art of the deal. We're seeing it in the chat. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump bad again. Yeah, we got Fally over there. It's the art of the deal. We got James, you got it right. President Trump's a businessman. Kevin over on the Facebook, Trump is 10 steps ahead of every one of them. He holds his cards close to his chest and knows what he's doing. Best president ever. Yeah, it is not complicated, folks.
No, it turns out it's not, Jason. We just needed a new president to change all this. It is not complicated. And then, Schiff, of course, is over there. Trump's playing golf, and that'll be the historic moment of his whole presidency. He's golfing while your retirement accounts go up in flames. And again, it's just like, where were you when Joe Biden was on the beach falling down airplane steps? They just don't care about any of this. I just wish.
Oh my gosh. See, and now every now and then we get him. Steve Copeland, massive wins, massive tax in the form of tariffs. Stephen, we will challenge you to go back and watch last week's episode where we did a full breakdown on tariffs. And if you're thinking that, you're an idiot.
I got to say, every Democrat, my lifetime, your lifetime, they have always been the party of higher taxes. This is not a debatable position. Democrats have always advocated for more taxes. They want you to rely on the government. And now with this narrative, we're supposed to be like, oh no, tariffs are a tax. This is horrible. I don't believe you, Steve. You're a moron, a brainwashed, boosted, masked up sheep right now. You're, for the first time in your life, concerned about taxes on the American people. Get out of here with that.
Right. Yeah, and here's what's funny, too. Like, with the Donald Trump golf thing, I don't know if you've ever been with business people. Like, how many deals get done on a golf course?
Lots of deals get done golfing.
Yeah, it's funny, like meetings, dinners, like that's where like business happens. You know what I mean? And like the fact that Donald Trump golfs, like God love him. Like I think every single successful leader golfs. You know, it's like the hobby. I don't golf. I'm old and decrepit and can't do it, but you know, it's fascinating.
Yeah, they have to be mad about something. And then what Schiff was referencing at the end, folks, I want Steve to come back in the comments. Steve, let us know that you were wrong. Admit that you were wrong in the comments. But Schiff was concerned because Trump early in the morning the other day said, now is a great time to buy. So we saw the dip in the stock market. And Donald Trump, on the morning of the day that he announced that there would be a pause on all these tariffs, said, now is a great time to buy, everybody. And so guess what? A lot of people bought, and a lot of people would have bought anyways, Jason, because that's what you do. Smart money goes into the red stock market because they know it's going to go back up. You buy the dips. You don't sell it when it goes down. You buy when it goes down. And so people do that. Donald Trump's tweeted out, you should probably buy right now. It's a good time to buy. And then he announces that the tariffs are paused. Stock market loved that news. It went back up. And Schiff's trying to make the case that we have corruption. Trump's friends were all enriching themselves. And again, I just have to point this out. Democrats are arguing against Donald Trump and Elon Musk using Doge to uncover corruption. They are saying we want this corruption to continue. And then they also want you to think that suddenly corruption is bad when when the government does it when it's run by somebody else. All of these things, Jason, I am running out of words short of using the R word. We're only 20 minutes in. To not see this double standard, it is so blatant. You want government corruption. You're mad at Doge, and now you're mad at Donald Trump for this alleged corruption. I just can't with these people.
Well, and it's funny too, because now you see all the Democrats, and we've talked about it a lot. There are many Democrats, Nancy Pelosi being the worst offender, who have abused their personal information to enrich themselves via stock trades. There are several Republicans that have too. Dan Crenshaw, amongst others. We've talked about it on the show. We have covered it. But now to see Democrats coming out saying, oh my gosh, look at this insider trading. It's like, bro, where you been? We've been talking about this for 10 years. But I saw a tweet from Hakeem Jeffries. I retweeted it the other day, and it was really telling in where the game's at because, and Todd's like, oh, I got to go look for that tweet. Because it's Hakeem Jeffries. What he said was, we're going to go after these MAGA Republicans for illegal stock trading or something like that. And his language was very clear and very precise. And sometimes I think we don't listen closely enough to what these guys say. Because, is that the Hakeem one?
Yeah.
Let me be clear. We will hold extreme MAGA Republicans accountable for any corruption, insider trading, and stock market manipulation. Now, think about this, folks, because they're saying the quiet part out loud. This is not, hey, let me be clear, we're going to hold Republicans accountable. We're going to hold politicians accountable. We're going to hold anybody in D.C. who does this accountable. It is, we're going to hold extreme MAGA Republicans accountable for corruption, insider trading, and stock market manipulation. So we aren't going to look at Nancy Pelosi. We aren't going to look at Dan Crenshaw. But I tell you what, if any extreme MAGA Republican happened to do a stock trade, we're going to go after them. Like, Todd, they're saying the quiet part out loud.
Mm-hmm. Very targeted. They're going to go after their political opponents. And then, Jason, speaking of how much they just hate you, they hate everybody. I've made that point too, but specifically they want to target you. We had someone on CNN make the claim that these tariffs are a bad idea because why should we care about HVAC positions, blue collar workers? We're really going to prioritize the working class over China's market. Yes, someone said that out loud, folks. Let's take a listen.
Up in the global economy for HVAC jobs, right? Which is what Howard Lutnick is talking about, that these factories will be largely automated, but then there'll be mechanics who are, I guess, fixing the machines and fixing the robots and the HVAC systems. So they are making big promises. When they can deliver is still an open question.
They hate you. And we got Kev joining on Rumble. Kev, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Kevin, what's going on? Hello, citizens.
Hello, fellow patriot.
I think that's from Starship Troopers, isn't it?
Hello, citizens. Yeah, I think so. I watched an interesting clip on YouTube. I have too much time at night when the kids go to bed. And the person on this YouTube channel was making the case that actually the bugs were the good guys. And he's like, did you notice how the government always lied to you and had the news clips ready to go when the bugs attacked? And, they needed the military apparatus to keep their society functioning. And it's like, whoa, there's a thinker.
I got to say, it's funny. It's funny because I rewatched Starship Troopers a couple weeks ago, and I love Starship Troopers. It's a great show. And they made 3 sequels. But yeah, you can see kind of a totalitarian regime in Starship Troopers where it was all media propaganda and all this stuff, and they had to use the military to keep it in line. But one concept they talked about that I loved, and we've touched on it, is to be a citizen of the Global Federation, you had to actually contribute to the Global Federation or whatever the country was called. And it's in America, I wish we had something like that. So if you are not a net contributor, you don't get to vote. You don't get a choice. If you're somebody who is a drain on society, doesn't produce anything, there should be some requirement to vote. I know it's an out there thought, but anyways, we can get back to the crazy lady. Is it me too, or is it always the glasses?
Yeah, Kevin made the point too. It is always the glasses. I know everything she stands for just by looking at that picture right there. Yeah, fake news lady has the Michael Caine Austin Powers glasses. I worked in Brooklyn Center, Jason, and our superintendent had the glasses so large. I kid you not, they would dip below her nose and they always fell down her face. So we would be in meetings every week and she was just pushing her glasses up her nose constantly. And it's just they don't have to be that big. Yeah, I hate the glasses thing.
Should we finish hearing what she has to say?
Yeah, I'm going to play it again because that was all the clip. It was a short clip. But again, it's a reminder that we should be subservient to the Chinese economy. We shouldn't make America great again because who really cares about these HVAC workers anyways? I mean, all the plants are going to be automated. Yeah, wild clip.
Is it worth it to upend the global economy for HVAC jobs, right? Which is what Howard Lutnick is talking about, that these factories will be largely automated, but then there'll be mechanics who are, I guess, fixing the machines and fixing the robots and the HVAC systems. So they are making big promises. When they can deliver is still an
I love how she phrases too, well, evidently there's these HVAC. This woman couldn't change oil in her car, probably couldn't replace her furnace filter, has no idea how society functions. So let's break this down. Yes, crazy eyeglass lady, we want the factory in America. We want them buying American energy to manufacture American products. We want American workers to deliver those goods to the American factory. We want somebody to open a snack bar in the American factory and vending machines in the American factory. Somebody to work on the HVAC system in the American factory. We want employees at the American factory. We want those employees to have probably uniforms that get washed or made by an American company. You see these blown out towns we all like to talk about in the Rust Belt or whatnot, that the factory closes and the entire town collapses because not just is what that factory does, but it's the 50 other businesses that are supported by that factory, down to the local grocery store, the local mechanic shop, because all of a sudden all these people working at the factory need goods and services. So yes, stupid idiot with the glasses, we want the factory here, not in Beijing.
Can I point out, I'm glad Francis chimed in. Thanks for watching, Francis. Thanks for commenting here. For the longest time, I wasn't allowed to have an opinion on abortion because I'm not a woman, and you have to be that specific thing to have an opinion when you're a Democrat. And then suddenly, what are her credentials? She's black and female. Those are her credentials on CNN. She is not an economist. She is not a business owner. But suddenly the rule of you have to be this thing to have an opinion on this thing, again, it goes all out the window. Jason, I think I've made 3 points calling out their hypocrisy on the show so far. It never ends. They make up all these rules for you to live by, and then as soon as it's convenient, they toss the rules out.
Well, yeah, and what's funny too is it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a Harvard MBA to say if we drop a factory in a small town in America, what happens to that town? One, hey, that's good for the factory owners and factory workers. 2, it's good for the people that support the factory, which is 20 other businesses in town that support that. Hey, and then just think all the other businesses that support the people that are working at the factory. Like you could open a Starbucks next to the factory and make money, or a coffee shop. It could be Todd and Jason's coffee shop. All these wonderful things happen because that factory is sitting in Anoka, Minnesota, instead of sitting in Beijing, China. How complicated is this? What don't we understand?
I would love for Steve to come back, or another Democrat viewer, to be like, why are we opposed to this again? I understand we hate HVAC and blue collar workers if you're this laptop liberal. There is no argument. Jason, there is no argument.
Well, and Kev's always good with the hot take. Someday we're going to have to get him on the show. Although Kevin always says, no, I just like chiming in. We do have to bring back manufacturing our vital items. War is coming. Have to be ready. Will talked about that a little bit last week, but that's what killed England after World War II. They never rebuilt their manufacturing infrastructure after World War I. When World War II hit, instead of being able to make munitions and vehicles, they had to have us make. So they basically gave us money. So instead of employing English workers, using English supplies, all that stuff I just talked about, they were just giving that money over to America. And then that put them in bad, dire financial straits. That is one concern with Trump poking the China bear, because right now it's pretty much USA and most of the world against China. It looks like Spain kind of jumped in with China, but like China makes 90% of our pharmaceuticals, and they also make a lot of like the precursor stuff that we use to make our pharmaceuticals. So America survives on pills. I know we shouldn't, but we do. And so if China shuts it down, like, that's no good.
Yeah, and if you're a Democrat politician or a pharma lobbyist, I understand why you want to be cozy with China. You make a lot of money off of that. But if you're a regular Democrat, American citizen, voter person, do you want to take the chance that one day China's like, we're not going to send this overseas anymore? Good luck, America. Do you want to rely on China, my Democrat family members and friends, for your medications, whatever pill you are taking, whatever quantity of pills you are taking? Do we like that idea? Do we like the sound of that?
Right? Yeah, it's a horrible idea. And actually, Tom over on the Facebook, Tom would fit in good with our Rumble chat.
Very Rumble-esque.
Yeah, Tom, go to rumble.com, find the American Tribune. That's the name of our company. We run the video over there. Democrats wishing, hoping the country fails. I think this woman probably isn't getting a kickback from China, probably isn't on the dole or whatnot. This woman hates America. She doesn't think America is exceptional. She doesn't think it's the greatest country in the history of the world. And she doesn't even want self-preservation, because she doesn't even smart enough to understand her stupid glasses liberal ideas only exist because she's in America. You go spout that BS over in some other country, like go to the Middle East and say, like, I hate the government or whatnot. I'm a diverse lesbian, whatever. They're going to throw you off buildings, folks. And it's funny because liberals with all these radical ideas who think they can rip on the government and all these things, like, you only exist because of the greatness of America and the tolerance of Americans. It's time we start teaching these people that. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, these morons are missing the biggest problem of their worldview, is that they want to take away everything that made America good, and they somehow think that when that's gone, that America will somehow be better. The equation doesn't quite compute. You can't strip America of everything that made it good and gave you a job in a CNN studio where you have stupid glasses on your face. And if you just take away those parts that made that possible, they don't quite see that far down the road.
Right. Well, and it's interesting too, and maybe we'll go to the clip about the Lake and Riley Act, because one thing I've been really pleased with this week too, and we'll break some of it down, because it's not all wins. Some's being framed as wins, which we might have some disagreement on. But Trump, most of that stuff we covered was all done through executive order. Next time a Democrat takes control of the presidency, which will happen, he'll just undo it all. But now in these last couple of weeks, the House has actually got their crap together and started passing some action. So the Lake and Riley Act was passed, which basically, if you're an illegal and you commit violence, you go home. They passed the SAVE Act. They're passing Trump's budget. And the SAVE Act, that was a voter one, wasn't it, Todd?
That was the voter. You need a voter ID, I believe.
Oh my God. So you actually need to have an identification to register to vote in America. shocking. It's insane, right? 4 Democrats voted for it, which is kind of cool because you almost never see that. But they're getting rolled and everybody's saying it's voter suppression. And what if you're a married woman? Blah, 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 blah. Folks, like, you have to get an identification to pass. But yeah. So this is the biggest talking point of the left. The SAVE Act requiring an ID to vote and making sure you're a citizen is going to be voter suppression, because evidently they believe both black people and women aren't smart enough to figure out how to vote, which, if that's the truth,
it's an abusive relationship, Jason. Like, if you let's say I was the Democrats and my spouse was, the black female voting bloc that they absolutely rely on, and I said, honey, you are just too stupid to do all this on your own. I just beat them down every day. I call them stupid, useless, worthless. You need me. Like, we would all recognize that as abusive and manipulation. That's what the Democrat Party does to blacks and to women. Oh, you mean you're not going to be able to vote because you changed your name at one point and your birth certificate doesn't match with your, like, no, that is not a real thing. That they just keep calling you stupid over and over again. If you're black and you're female, like, at what point do you just say, you know what, I am going to leave this abusive relationship because I know that guy over there, that Donald Trump over there, he will treat me nicely. But we haven't reached that point yet.
No. Well, and actually, just to address Eric over on the Facebook, we don't need to attack the way she looks. Her brain's a problem. Her thought process is a problem. How she chooses to look, her dress makes us look like we're picking on the little things. Let's stick to the issues. Let's be better than the liberals. Eric, part of you's right. Part of them I got to disagree with. For too long, we have been afraid to call out these ridiculous people. And on the show, I talk about the crazy blue-haired cat lady, because when you see the crazy blue-haired cat lady, you know exactly what you're getting. And I'm not attacking this woman for the way she looks. I think she's an idiot. I think she has bad thought process. And I think she doesn't understand what a factory does to a community. I'm just pointing out that when you got those glasses, we can easily identify who you are, folks. It's like if I walk out in my MAGA hat, somebody knows, kind of, they will have an opinion of me, whatever that is. But like the crazy glasses seem to be the MAGA hat of the left.
And Jason, I appreciate Eric's, it is a thoughtful comment. I understand the nuance going on there, but I absolutely believe you can judge a book by its cover. Like, stereotypes are generally accurate because they rely on the truth to make their point. It is always the case that you will have exceptions, but I think we have proven at this point now, if you wear those stupid glasses on your face, you are an intellectual and moral fraud. I know everything about you because you're a narcissist. These people are wearing their glasses because they want attention for themselves. They know their ideas aren't good enough. They're not interesting enough. They need to draw your attention in some way else. And so for her, this clown is putting gigantic glasses on her nose because that's the only way you'll pay attention to her. Her ideas are awful. Her positions are awful. These people are narcissists. And I think it points to a larger problem that all Democrats are narcissists. This woman could never explain or figure out why it's good for HVAC to have jobs, why it's good for this janitor to get hired in the manufacturing plant. She can't put herself in those other people's shoes. She has zero empathy. It's a narcissistic trait. And so, yes, I'm going to make fun of her glasses because it communicates a larger problem with all of these people.
Yes. And back to the things that have passed. Todd, what do you think? SAVE Act? Good news, bad news?
I mean, I can't believe we're passing this legislation. So you got, let's see, should we make sure that American citizens are the only people voting in elections? And for the longest time, Democrats are like, no, it doesn't happen. We don't need to worry about it. To now suddenly, I'm going to not make sure that only American citizens vote in the election. But yes, this is pretty commonplace. If they could go further, you and I talk about making voting harder, Jason. Now, do you own property? Are you a net contributor to society? If we have taxes, do you put more in taxes in the system than you take back out? So it doesn't go far enough. As far as I'm concerned, this is step one. But universal suffrage, mass democracy, it never ends well. So this is a good starting point. But I want to see more voting restrictions. And by restrictions, I mean you have an idea already.
Right. So I think SAVE Act, I've looked through it, seems pretty clean, and I'm pretty happy with it. Now, another law they passed, and this is one that kind of ties into to a comment Kevin said, it's great things pass, always scared by whatever they snuck in. Yeah. And we discover it pass years from now. I saw one pass this week that I'm a little conflicted on, and it was the, I can't remember the exact name of it, but the Stopping Rogue Judges Act. Do you know anything about that, or do you want me to break it down?
You want to break it down? Yeah, I was just pulling it up so we could share that too.
Yeah, so here's here's what's been happening. There's a bunch of district courts in America. Cases get brought to the district court, and then the district court has the power to make a ruling to stop the president's executive action from being instituted across America. Now, I have spoken vocally. I think those judges are acting outside of their jurisdiction to put nationwide bans on things. They're trying to stop Trump deportations. They're trying to stop, you name it, every executive action he's had. They've tried to stop. We shared the chart last week or the week before where it's like 10 different executive orders they've tried to stop. Now they're trying to pass legislation that says a district court judge can't overrule the executive branch. It's got to go up higher on the food chain. Got to get to the appeals court, Supreme Court, that kind of thing before they could institute a nationwide thing. My concern is, while I think the root cause is we have too many liberal judges in the lower courts that think this is appropriate. They used to land on this isn't appropriate. We shouldn't issue nationwide injunctions for things. But now you got a bunch of liberal activists in these courts, so they're doing it. But once again, Democrats someday will have the presidency again. And then this is kind of what allowed us to stop Joe Biden from rolling out student loans. Had this power not been in place, Joe Biden would have said, hey, we're going to forgive student loans, would have went back and forgave all the student loans. Then when the higher court overturned it or stopped it appropriately, then we'd have to go try to claw back that money. The politicians would never do that. So I'm kind of mixed on this, Todd. What do you think?
I am of a similar mind. Now, I think we all recognize objectively that I'm just going to say this. If you are a Democrat appointed judge, I already know you don't like the Constitution. So that is a big problem. You have all these Dem appointed judges who you're either a Democrat or you're a constitutionalist, but you can't be both at the same time. That's just how this works nowadays. So we have to recognize that. That being said, Jason, if it weren't for a rogue judge during the Biden administration, we would all be wearing masks on airplanes still. So you had one Florida judge, Eileen Cannon, who said, no, you can't mandate masks on the airplanes. And I do remember all the sheep the moment it happened, like they all ripped off their face masks. Like it just shows how much we were just willing to comply. But that was an instance of, they would consider Eileen Cannon a rogue activist judge going against their regime. So just understand this can go both ways. I hate, obviously, what they're doing. Again, you have to be objective. All these injunctions, I think they've done more national injunctions just with Trump's first 3 months than we've ever had ever.
Yes.
So that is a problem, but this will be used against us, is my fear. So now the next Dem politician president can do something insane, egregious, tyrannical. And if this bill is in place, do we have a stopgap for it? That's my question.
Yeah, this is one, and I know Trump supports it, and I'm a little sketchy about it. It's got some Patriot Act vibes to it. I'm not a huge fan of. Hey, you know what I am a fan of, though? Dee Dee stopping in the chat. Dee Dee, happy Friday. Busy day. Hopefully you're doing something fun. Like the weather's getting nice in Minnesota.
Busy, not a bad busy.
Yeah.
Not preparation of taxes busy. I've been going back and forth with my accountant this week, and it's just, how much more money do you need me to spend? How much more money in that check? How many more zeros? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can I go on a rant about taxes?
As Jean-Luc Picard would say, engage.
So I have a lot of interests. I do a lot of different things. Maybe it makes me a Renaissance man. Not as smart as Will Tanner, but I do taxes for like 8 or 9 of my buddies. And I finished taxes this year. I got tax season done, thank God, because it's kind of a grind. And it started with like, yeah, I do my own taxes. Like, oh, can you do mine? Sure. Can you do mine? Sure. But it's fascinating because I prepare taxes for people that make as little as like 50 grand a year up to several $100,000 a year. And when you actually look at the net people pay on taxes, it will just blow your mind. So like 3 examples. I had a buddy that makes 50 grand. His net payout to the government was like $1,000, like 900 and some bucks. I had another buddy that made like 75 grand. His net payout to the government was like 6,000. And then I had the buddy that made about 100 grand. His net payout was like 18,000. And it's like the most vocal about what should happen with the taxes is always that $50,000 guy, right? poor guy that like, I want my taxes to go for this or that or the other thing. It's like, bro, you paid like $500 in taxes. Shut up. And it's funny, people don't realize how much that keeps you from pushing to advance, because if you're somebody out there making 50, 60 grand a year and you work hard and push to that 70 grand, and then you push harder and push to that 100 grand, you know, you get that 100 grand and you think like, oh, this is great. Well, really, you end up giving way more money to the government, and it becomes like a disincentive for it. It's crazy.
By design. Yeah, this like I said earlier, if we're going to do tariffs, I am 100% on board. Let's offset government revenue by getting rid of the corrupt, illegal, immoral IRS.
Right.
And I make this point too, Jason, or change the tax code where no withholdings occur anymore, and everyone writes one big check in April. And let's see how fast people change their minds when they have to watch 18 grand disappear overnight, when it's 1,000 here in a paycheck and just budget accordingly. Doesn't have the same mental impact. But if you write a check for $18,000 one time a year, I guarantee you will stop voting for higher taxes.
Yeah, it's funny because when I do my taxes, I always joke, like my wife Jen, J Rob from Mrs. J Rob, she'll be like, why do you write a check? And it's like, I want to feel the burn. I want to write all those digits. I want to drop it in an envelope, and I want to grind my teeth, and just in case I ever don't hate the government enough.
Well, and then if we don't pay our estimated quarterly taxes, we get penalized. Here's your money in advance, government.
Ugh.
Oh, okay, we got to get back to the videos here.
Let's get back to the video. What video should we do next?
This is more for my guilty pleasure. Folks, I love watching the left eat itself right now. So we have Anderson Cooper. Anderson's gay, right? I don't care. I'm just weird, right?
I'm pretty sure.
So you've got, and I only make that point to be like, okay, so you have LGBTQ member on CNN, lying, woke, all that nonsense here, and Anderson Cooper gets destroyed by someone else in the LGBTQ2S AI plus community because he wasn't woke enough. And I am here for it. I am here for these moments all the time. Folks, just listen to this exchange.
Thought about it over the last couple months.
Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that.
I think we just saw a hate crime take place. He mispronounced this person.
And I gotta say, we're like, you could maybe convince me, a grown man who thinks he's a woman, but they, them, like, how do we even land on they, them? Like, is that not, I think it's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life.
But then to just be so bold, I debated keeping this just for Rumble so we could maybe talk about it more.
Right.
But man, the lack of just embarrassment, like, you should be embarrassed to be out there doing that. No, I understand. I'm going to correct you on national TV. No, it's they, them. I'm going to say rather smugly and arrogantly. And then, yeah, I did notice this too. Kev's like, Bernie got a haircut for that. He absolutely did. Where's that huge Bernie comb over?
Right. Well, and I think, I mean, now Bernie is a millionaire, so he can afford a nice haircut. And what do you think? Do you think Bernie's going to run?
I do, because that's all Bernie really has. I don't know if that would be good, or I think that would be worse. I just want AOC or Jasmine Crockett, some insane Dem to run, but they won't. The Dems aren't that stupid. So they got Kamala out of the way. That was all intentional. They just had to be done with the Kamala name. So I think they got Gavin lined up. I think Bernie will contend. Bernie's interesting because a lot of the Bernie bros went over to Donald Trump, but I think Bernie could get some of them back too. So that'd be an interesting race. Yeah,
it'll be fascinating because right now, the Democrat Party. Oh, we should play that Laken Riley clip too. That one's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll finish the Facebook with that one.
Yeah. What's that?
Oh, you want the Laken right now?
Yeah, let's do the Laken Riley one.
Oh, shoot, we just moved. There we go.
We would have voted differently. As I've thought about it over the last couple months, I probably would have voted differently. It's a vote that I regret, but coming into this Congress, I trusted that this administration, we would have some, if they wanted to have border security, they wanted to work with Democrats, that we could actually move forward. I'm not really sure of that.
Right now, the Democrat Party is rudderless. the Obama coalition has largely collapsed. You have all these Democrats out there trying to run. You got Bernie and AOC hanging out. You got Jasmine Crockett with their big fake eyeglasses. You got Gavin doing a podcast. Tim Walz, he has spent more time in other states than he has Minnesota. Democrats are running all of these town halls. And it's funny because they're going into some of these places and they're trying to pitch to like not hardcore Democrats, like moderates or maybe fungible Republicans. But how do you get up and say something like, I regret supporting the Lake and Riley Act? Like, there should be nothing about these illegal immigrants that come in that do bad things. And it comes back to the point you made earlier. This woman doesn't understand that being an American citizen is one of the greatest gifts God has given you. You are so lucky to be born in the greatest country in the world, in the greatest time in the world, and you hate it, and that's why you don't appreciate it. And yes, illegals coming in committing crime should, like, firing squad. I don't know. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, I just got to say, too, again, black woman right here, she would say that this is a racist, white supremacist country. You are a member of Congress, a pretty prestigious group of people, a very small group of people in our country's history. And you know she hates this country. You are a congresswoman. You have made it, lady. But it's never enough for these folks. And Jason, I just need to read what the Lake and Riley Act actually includes so you understand how delusional and evil this woman is. This is what she regrets voting for. A law that requires the Department of Homeland Security to detain illegal immigrants admitting to, charged with, or convicted of theft-related crimes, assaulting a police officer, or a crime that results in death or serious bodily injury, such as drunk driving here. The act also allows states to sue the Department of Homeland Security for alleged failures in immigration enforcement. All the bill does is say if you're illegal here, not even illegal here, you can be illegal and do your thing still, but if you do something bad as an illegal, then we can detain you. It doesn't even use the word deportation, just detain you. And she has a problem with that.
Truly remarkable. And Democrats wonder why they're polling at 21%. And I got to say, the chat's coming up with great ideas. Fetterman 2028. Where was it? Somebody was saying, oh, yeah, there's Fally. We still got to get Fally the Rumble login. Bernie already rolled over for Hillary and no Biden. He has no balls. Fact check true, but I think he's still probably going to run for president. Obamas are looking for a new chef. Yeah, Francis, Democrats might actually run a primary. I mean, I wonder if they'll run a legit one, because in 2016, they stole it from Bernie. 2020, they pretty much just the establishment just pushed Joe Biden through. 2024, they threw Biden off the bus and installed Kamala. What happens if the Democrats really run a primary? Like, how funny would that be?
I would love to see that. Also, fun fact, Bernie Sanders is 83 years old right now. That would put him at what, 86? And we're supposed to be worried about Donald Trump being too old for president. There goes that argument too. No, it's okay if Bernie's 1,000 years old. He can still run. And Kev asks, how many pearl necklaces do you need, lady? This is the same thing I was saying about the stupid glasses on the other gal. They do it for attention. This is all they have. I hate all of it. And yeah, Eric, I know you're like, we need to take the high ground here. Absolutely not. Everything about this woman is a clown, down to her decisions on what she is wearing.
We're all fired up today, Todd. I love it.
Fired up. Well, do you want to finish out the Facebook side with that clip from Donald Trump?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Should I frame this up?
Frame it up.
All right. So Donald Trump truthed this out today, and we've played this clip before, or part of it on the podcast, but this is kind of that, like, what conservatives are going through. And it's a clip from the show Landman, which Billy Bob Thornton, love Landman, great show. Wayne Dupree on the podcast I do during the week turned me on to it. I had saw a few clips. I watch it. There's 2 seasons, been watched it. But so there's this little liberal lawyer that is hired to work with the Billy Bob Thornton character, which is working out in the oil fields, like getting oil out of the ground. It's a Wild West. And she comes in with all these beliefs about, like, destroying the economy or whatever. And like, this clip just it's so good, Todd.
Sorry, I'm just deleting Catherine. Folks, don't talk to Catherine. Barry, she was trying to be your friend. Don't do it. All right, here's the clip.
Haul this shit out here and put it together with a 450-foot crane. You want to guess how much oil it takes to lubricate that fucking thing? Or winterize it? And its 20-year lifespan, it won't offset the carbon footprint of making it. And don't get me started on solar panels and the lithium in your Tesla battery. And never mind the fact that if the whole world decided to go electric tomorrow, we don't have the transmission lines to get the electricity to the cities. It'd take 30 years if we started tomorrow. And unfortunately for your grandkids, we have a 120-year petroleum-based infrastructure. Our whole lives depend on it. And hell, it's in everything. That road we came in on, the wheels on every car ever made, including yours, it's in tennis rackets and lipstick and refrigerators and antihistamines, pretty much anything plastic. Your cell phone case, artificial heart valves, any kind of clothing that's not made with animal or plant fibers, soap, fucking hand lotion, garbage bags, fishing boats, you name it. Every fucking thing. And you know what the kicker is? We're gonna run out of it before we find its replacement.
It's the thing that's gonna kill us all. As a species.
No, the thing that's gonna kill us all is running out before we find an alternative. And believe me, if Exxon thought them fucking things right there were the future, they'd be putting them all over the goddamn place. Getting oil out of the ground is the most dangerous job in the world. We don't do it because we like it. We do it because we run out of options. And you're out here trying to find something to blame for the danger besides your boss. There ain't nobody to blame but the demand that we keep pumping it.
So good.
So good. And you think back to the crazy lady earlier with the glasses talking about why we need a factory here. Like, we are all Billy Bob Thornton in this clip. Like, why do we need a factory here? Because we want to employ workers. We want to employ businesses that support those workers. We want to build businesses that support the factory. Yes, there's not just there are 100 different implications positive for having that factory. All those people generate tax revenue. Democrats love tax revenue. The Chinese factory generates zero tax revenue. And the Democrat thinks they're intellectually and morally superior. So, like, this woman thinks she is intellectually and morally superior to Billy Bob Thornton. And, like, she's like, oh, we're going to kill the earth. Why don't you care about that? And Billy Bob Thornton, just off the cuff, points out like 25 different things that are just undisputable facts that are all true if you could think more than one step behind. And this woman won't even listen to it because she thinks she's intellectually and morally superior to the hillbilly that is Billy Bob Thornton.
And isn't that every Dem you talk to, she said, yeah, this is the thing that's going to kill us. After he goes through the entire list of why we need it, and even he doesn't even want it necessarily. If you listen to the conversation, he's like, we just have to. Like, yeah, we have to live in reality. Right now, we need this. It's the only thing keeping us going here. She doesn't care about any of that. She says, but this narrative told me to say one thing, and then she stops talking because that's as far as these Dems can take it. If you're just a MSNBC viewer, CNN viewer, you're on your social media going through Occupy Dems, that's all. You are told one thing. You have one line to say, and that's it. You can't defend it. You can't back it up. You can't support it. You can't even refute other ideas when they come your way. You say your one thing, and then you just assume the other guy, like Jason said, is just a moron, even though it makes perfect sense.
Right. And like, even like when he talks about the construction required to put this thing up, put it together, you're going to create more carbon than this would ever save in the lifetime of its use. Just basic, obvious facts. And you point those out in the Democrat, like, she does the perfect Democrat response, which is, but we're going to destroy the world. Yeah, folks, for those of us that are in our 50s, we were going to display the world was going to be gone in 15 years because of global warming 40 years ago. Like, get over it. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Kev.
I'll let you comment on the other one here. I like Kev's response here. This is actually my position too. Everyone's like, they try to paint conservatives as anti-environment. They hate everything. So Kev writes, I like solar panels, wind on top of parking garages, buildings, just get them out of beautiful farmland, grazing spaces. Yes. Like, we can explore these alternative technologies. One day they will work. I am all for that, but I am against government mandating we eliminate gas-powered cars. I am against government saying, don't farm this beautiful land anymore. Just put up this miles upon miles of disgusting, toxic solar panels and ruining my countryside. No one is opposed to this on the conservative side. We are opposed to the mandates, Obama's Solyndra scandal. We're opposed to government funneling money into these projects that they know won't work, and they don't care. They just want to get their donors rich again. Yeah, bring it on. If you have a house, put solar panels on there. Why not? Just don't destroy everything else along the way.
Well, and I was going to say just a couple thoughts on that, and then we can wrap this up. But solar panels or electric cars, Teslas. I've ridden in Teslas, pretty cool. I would love to own a Tesla, but I don't think I'll ever want to buy a car that costs me $100,000. I drive a Nissan Altima. It's a good car, pretty affordable. But like for Jen and I would totally own a Tesla. Electric car. We own one gas car, one electric car. Like, hey, I live in America. I get to choose to do that. Doesn't make me a hypocrite. Doesn't make me any of that. It means it's electric car is cool. My buddy Jim, who's actually a Democrat, just put solar panels on his house for a survival reason. He's like, if the grid goes down, I want to have power. And I'm like, that is a perfect reason to have solar panels. He's also like, he lives in Minneapolis where things can get dicey and whatnot. And like solar panels for survival applications, or you want to be off grid, or maybe it saves you on your electric bill, completely appropriate. What we're saying is we shouldn't take the entire frickin' electric grid and get rid of it in exchange for solar panels. Like, that is not the application for it. Just like eliminating gas, oil, all that kind of stuff isn't going to work because the world runs on energy. And without energy, like, everybody dies. I don't know how to make it any simpler. But what I was going to say, too, is we got Paul Reese over in the chat. He's driving and listening. Todd?
Folks, go to splitrockcoffee.com. Disabled, veteran-owned, right here in Minnesota, where Jason and I are broadcasting from. Delicious coffee. I am drinking the breakfast blend. Jason turned me onto it. More caffeine in the lighter roast, by the way. But you can go to splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code TODD10. Subscribe and save today. Again, promo code TODD10 at splitrockcoffee.com. And Jason, while we're at it here, I got my American Tribune mug. I'm wearing my American Tribune Live hat. I see that you're sporting the American Tribune hat. Folks, if you go to the AmericanTribuneStore.com, we don't make a lot of money on it. We got some merch up there. If you want to get something cool to represent the show, hand $1 or $2 over to us, get something in return, the AmericanTribuneStore.com.
Right. Well, now we got to log off some of these platforms because we got a couple fun topics to talk about that some of these platforms won't necessarily like what we have to say. Kev does make an interesting point, too, because I'm going to tell my fantasy baseball story. The electric grid has to expand by a lot for AI. AI is pretty scary funny. I'm just going to say it. But, Todd, do you want to wrap up the first hour? Then we'll see you over on Rumble.
Yeah, this is where we say goodbye to our Facebook audience, but the show is not over. It's just going to be over on Facebook. You can still catch us. We have another half hour where we go Rumble only. Head over to rumble.com, search out the American Tribune. You can get the app on your phone. It's a little green play button. YouTube is red, Rumble is green. Shows go on for another half hour. We do this every Friday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And we encourage folks to head over to Rumble. That's where we're trying to build up our community. You can see the comments on our podcast. We got a growing Rumble community. That's where we speak freely. We're all in agreement. So come join the fun over there, the American Tribune at rumble.com. Get the green app on your phone for Rumble. And again, search out the American Tribune. But Jason, we're going to be back in 60 seconds. And this is our favorite half hour of the week, folks. We'll be right back.